today. I'm JenXi. I'm a Malaysian from JB. I grew up in Singapore and I've been in Shenzhen for coming to 6 years. I represent iMakerbase. We are a hardware accelerator based here in Shenzhen. Okay, so before I delve further, here's a little background about myself. I graduated from NUS Pharmacy in 2008, and I practiced as a pharmacist for 7 years. So in 2014, I had the chance to visit Shenzhen for the first time. So long story short, I fell in love with a city that has been one of the main driving force of innovation in the world today. So Shenzhen is a city of migrants. The locals here come from all over China, all with the goal of making it big. So when I first came here, I found it very interesting. The locals taught me this phrase. It's in Chinese, it's 没有梦想为何深圳? It means if you don't have a dream, why come to Shenzhen? Shenzhen has 4 points that I think gives it a very good advantage. One is the innovation capital. As you probably already know, Shenzhen is the innovation capital. There's an open design culture here, or in local terms, it's called Shanzai, which kind of means copycat. You can see a lot of locally designed and built products. And I've seen the city grown from being just copying to tapping on the whole supply chain ecosystem to truly have an open design culture. Using this culture, they make innovative products and then they iterate on existing ones to create better products. Second, it's a maker's capital. Shenzhen is also considered the maker's capital. There's a very vibrant maker scene here that is supported by incentives from the government and from accelerators such as iMakerbase and Chaihuo, the Chinese local accelerators, and international ones like HAX. There's a complete hardware supply chain ecosystem here that is a perfect background to support the makers in their projects. Easily go to the hardware market in Huaqiangbei to look for components or just order them with a phone and have them delivered within the next day or even on the same day. Shenzhen is also a hardware capital. It's often reported that 90% of the world's electronics are being manufactured in Shenzhen. I've mentioned the complete supply chain ecosystem a few times before. When so many products are made here, they can actually share many of the components. The engineers try to reuse the same components to keep the production costs down. Together with relatively cheaper labor and many skilled technical workers, this actually makes a powerhouse. It is also considered the Silicon Valley of the East. It is home to many of the global tech giants such as Tencent, Huawei, DJI, ZTE, etc. All these companies help to nurture and promote startups. A lot of these young graduates actually join these companies. They learn and then they come out and do their own businesses. And companies like DJI, when they develop their products, they actually help industries around them to grow as well. So let me share a bit about iMakerbase. We are an accelerator. We are an international in-depth hardware accelerator platform. All right. We have offices in Shenzhen, mainly in the Bao'an district, that's in the east side, such as in Gushu, Shajing, Yanluo, Gongming, and Guangming. If you're not very, so our strength lies in our supply chain ecosystem. We have over 50 suppliers that we have a stake in. And then we have over 300 suppliers in our Maker Supply Chain Alliance. And in Shenzhen, we have thousands of suppliers in the ecosystem that we can tap for production and development. So how does iMakerbase help startups? When they're at phase 0, this is when startups, both locally and internationally, have a new idea for a product. They will approach either the overseas iMakerbase offices or our office here in China, where we can help them to bring their product from concept to prototype. And then when they go to phase 0, and already in the prototype, meaning that they have already done the conceptualization, but they are unable to make the prototype due to certain challenges. From the 0 to 0.5 phase, international teams will and office help to design and engineering problems. For teams that don't have access to our overseas office, we can still do incubation remotely through online meeting.
And then once they reach phase 1, that's when the prototype is ready. The startup is happy with what they have, and then we move into the production phase. This is when we start to tap on our supply chain network. We bring in trusted suppliers to help them to make the product, and then we start with small batch test production. Okay, next I'll briefly share about my team, CheeseFlow. We are a branding and marketing team in iMakerbase. So we are an international team with members from Malaysia, Singapore, Italy, UK, Colombia, and of course China. So what we do is we help the startups to brand their products and then bring them to the global market. Same here, I had this issue as well. We think that we can talk to the locals, but there's actually a lot of invisible barriers and cultural differences that we need to adapt to. It's very common to get pushbacks from the factory. They will say this or that is not feasible, suggest ways to change things. When I first came here, I thought it was because they wanted to cut corners or to save costs. But over time, I actually understand that they are actually doing this genuinely because they want to look for win-win situations for both themselves and us, the clients. So my recommendation is to take their suggestions seriously and try to understand how to help them to help you. A very common thing that I tell startup is, if the factory tells you that there are no problems, then they should raise the alarms, because it probably means that there are a lot of problems with your project.